And there are the blades on the brake, leaving the sky clear for what is now the only airworthy example of the B-17 in Europe, but time was when hundreds of these Flying Fortresses were stationed in these parts of East Anglia during the years of the so-called friendly invasion by the US Army Air Forces during the Second World War. And it was a friendly invasion that began 80 years ago this summer with the arrival here of the first elements of the US 8th Air Force. It was in May 1942 that B-17s began to deploy to Europe with the US Army Air Forces. But they weren't B-17s like this. This is a late war G model. These earlier examples were B-17Es. They began entering service here with the 97th Bomb Group. The hope at that point was that the heavily armed B-17s wouldn't need fighter escorts for the entire duration of their missions. That hope was soon proved wrong. The first raid by 8th Air Force B-17s in the European theatre was by that unit, the 97th Bomb Group, from Grafton Underwood in Northamptonshire to railway marshalling yards near Rouen in France on the 17th of August 1942. Escort was provided on that occasion by RAF Spitfires. Of course, quite apart from improvements to the B-17 itself, such as those that brought about this definitive G model with a gun turret under the chin of the aircraft's nose, different waist gun positions, improved engines and so forth, it was the provision of better escort fighters, the likes of the P-47 Thunderbolt and especially the P-51 Mustang we saw earlier, that really helped protect these aircraft on their daylight raids into occupied Europe. That was the main tactic of the 8th Air Force, daylight sorties against German industrial targets and transport and resupply networks. This as part of the wider Allied combined bombing offensive alongside Royal Air Force Fighter Command. Even as losses of the heavy bombers, the B-17s and the B-24 Liberators decreased as the Allies gained air superiority, there were still many dangers for the crews of the daylight bombers, notably the effects of flak even on the legendarily tough airframe of the B-17. It's all of those operations that Sally B pays tribute to, and it's to the members of the Sally B Supporters Club, whose memberships help keep this aircraft flying, that we pay tribute with the final pass of this display by Sally B. You can join the Sally B Supporters Club here at Duxford this weekend by going to the team's stand in front of where the B-17 was parked earlier on the flight line, or you can do it at home. Go to www.sallyb.org.uk. We're not actually going to see the B-17 landing back here at Duxford for the moment because it's got another display to do this evening at Old Warden.